The law of the mind is follow your tracks. So don't let the mind determine your future. Let you determine your future, and the mind assists you to get there.
We all have a mind, but not all of us know how to use our mind. Why is that so? Because everybody has a dream, everybody has a purpose, but a lot of the times we are conflicted with thoughts that instill so much fear, depression, procrastination in us. How do we harness the power of our mind? I am Belsabo Ame.
And I am Shatani Somalakai.
And we are the Sapiosexual Platter.
Joining us today is a man who boldly asserts that if colonization of Africa was achieved through mind control, then the freedom of Africa can only be achieved by mindset change. He is a visionary of note, a leader, a family man, a man with a passion for education that leads to self-reliant, and a man of the people. Most importantly for today's conversation, he is the genius and the mastermind behind the National Mindset Change campaign for Botswana and for Africa. Ladies and gentlemen, join me in welcoming the President of the Republic of Botswana, His Excellency Dr M.E.K Masisi.
Thank you.
Mr. President,
Thank you.
welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for joining us. High five.
Bye.
I am in particular very excited about this conversation because I think you have a phenomenal mind. And maybe you could share with the audience, what is your mind?
I'm even blushing. Never for a moment did I think I had a phenomenal mind. I have an active mind.
Okay.
I have a very active mind.
Mm-hmm.
And part of the reason for that is because I'm in an unending quest of self-discovery, discovering my environs.
Wow.
I'm in an unending quest of tapping the talent, hidden or otherwise, of all those around me.
Yes.
And in the privileged position that I'm in now of leadership, my principal role, as I see it, is not so much to keep on top as to keep tapping and making sure that I unearth out of people that which is really radiant and much more brilliant than I am.
Yeah.
And I get a kick out of it.
I can attest to that because I've had the privilege of meeting you before this conversation today and interacting with you. And the first time I was validated on a grand scale about what I'm doing in my path was with you and your wife. So basically what happened for the audience, I studied law and I did my master's in international development, and then I pursued being a makeup artist. I was very young, I was 22, and I was rendered to provide a service to His Excellency's wife. And when I entered the house, you called the whole house. You're like, you guys have to meet this makeup artist. She studied law, you know, she's shifting things. And I was like, oh my God, because I had my own mental struggle with my own journey and how people were not receptive of it. And with that being said, what would you say is the law of the mind?
The law of the mind is follow your tracks, follow your passion. You know, the mind is but a tool to discover yourself.
Yes.
And a lot of yourself is really your innermost self. And to realize that your mind acts to direct you, to propel you, to aid you, or enable you. And that is the role of the mind. So it's important to use the mind properly. So don't let the mind determine your future. Let you determine your future, and the mind assists you to get there. So you go to school to study, right? Because your mind has a capacity to grow. It has a capacity to acquire more, to engage, and to expand. Does it fulfill you? Does it fulfill those around you? Does it fulfill the essential needs that you have? Whether it's food, whether it's beauty, whether it's pleasure, what is it? The mind has an enabling role to play. It's a facilitator of that. And the more you chisel it, you sharpen it,
Yes.
so that you align it with what you really are, the much more content you will be.
That's beautiful. I'm curious, from everything you're saying, it sounds like this idea of the mind and separating it between the mind as a tool and your intuitive self as a person as something that you've always known that is integral or an intuitive aspect of who you are. At what point did you realize that may be perhaps the key to unlocking success?
I think I probably realized it a little late in my life, to be honest. I must have been, late 30s. I married quite late. And, because I too had struggles like you when I was growing up. When you grow up, you're often fashioned into a particular pathway. Study and do this. Your aspirations are fashioned around the wants and needs of others. And sometimes your talents don't quite fit into what is available, present, and valued. So you go along with that.
Yes.
And so I, as a young professional, I started by studying to be a teacher. I love teaching. I still do. It's a passion that really fulfills me. But then I love other things, and I'm pretty good at them. Biology was one of my first loves at school. And so one of the things that I struggled with was whether to become a biologist
or a teacher.
Or not. But I could still teach biology. But I wanted to be a lab-inspired biologist. And I also loved the arts. The literary arts. I loved the performing arts. And you may have seen I decided in my term now, as I go to elections, I decided to start picking on some of my other talents and loves, the creative space. So I thought, look, if I ask for people to mindset change, it better rivet. It better shift the needle. And I should be the prime example of that. And so I got into farming. I farmed with a passion.
So that was the mindset switch and change that you
did. I must produce food. I have a responsibility beyond, signing documents and making decisions. I'm also a parent. I'm an uncle. I'm a husband. I'm a family man. I've got to feed my family. Not from the salary I earn. Only I must work with my hands. And that's why when you started, the audience didn't know this. You had to ask me to put some lotion on. These are farmers' hands. So I have come to the conclusion that your mind indeed is a tool that you must actively challenge and use to rivet if you're to make a difference.
So when you look back at your journey and as you were ascending to where you are now, would you have thought you were going to become president?
Not in the wildest dreams.
Oh, wow.
Not in the wildest dreams. I mean, any politician is ambitious. But most of us, when you got in, I thought when I got in, really, if I was lucky, I'd be a minister. If I was lucky. Not to suggest that I doubted my capacity. I knew I could be a minister. I'd be a good minister. In fact, I had structured my life around actually being an ordinary MP.
When would you say the seed of presidency was then put in your mind? When were you like, I can do this?
The possibility, and it wasn't really firm, was when I was called by my former boss when I was Minister of Education after the 2014 elections. And he struck a conversation with me and essentially asked me if I could be his vice president. But I just thought, hey, why me? But so look, so I told him, bring it on. I'll kill it. A few months later, I then was asked to leave the ministerial role and come and be full-time vice president. So that's when it first struck that I might be. And part of the reason was that in the term we're beginning from 2014, my then boss was going towards the end of his 10-year term. And if things worked out, then I may just be the one who succeeds him because we have a provision of automatic
succession, yes.
In Botswana. But I was never, you're never certain until it's done. You know, because 2 hours is a very long time in politics.
Yes.
I could sneeze wrong or whether I could say something wrong, and I'd be out of the job.
Yeah.
But then, when was the moment that you then realized the power of the mind? Because you said it happened later on in age.
Life.
Yeah, in life. When was that moment, and what was the trigger?
I come from a political family. Right? So I had always participated in politics as an appendage. I'd carry my dad's bag. I'd read his books.
Yes.
I actually started to learn about the structure of the party that I belonged to.
Oh, wow.
From primary school.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
When I used to accompany my dad. We'd be there from the lands or the cattle post. And because literacy was very low at the time in Botswana, I, the son of the MP, according to the villagers in the committee, would be sat down on a stool to take the minutes of the deliberations. And so that's how I participated, supporting my dad, or being around him, or being around my brother. Sometimes it'd be buying bread, making sandwiches, cooking for the delegates, stuff like that. So I had never participated myself directly. When I got into it, because I had to be confronted with the realities, the brutal, harsh realities of politics.
Yes.
Where people tell you in your face. But that's when my mind really shifted gear in the way I began to reconfigure my perception, interpretation of humanity and human beings. The way I began to reconfigure what I am, who I am, and what I mean to them and society, and how I should remain laser focused on the mission.
Oh, wow.
So, yeah, the strength of the mind developed very sharply then.
And what I find interesting about you is you discovered the power of the mind to accelerate you and to move you forward. And then you've taken that same concept that has accelerated you to becoming president, and you've now said to the nation, we all need to change our minds.
But I'm a teacher at heart. So the spirit and motive of a teacher is to empower and to grow.
Yes.
And so when I look at another person, I see talent, potential. I see myself as in my role is to help it, unearth it, exploit it for their own sake and for the sake of others to the maximum possible. And sometimes you come across people who don't know how to exploit their own talent. They are either abused, or they're emotionally trapped, or they are unskilled. But most of the time, it's emotional burden and imprisonment. And so creating an ambient environment of happiness, of freedom, a spirit of you can do it.
You can do it.
You get up and do it. And enjoy yourself.
Yes.
It doesn't matter what you do.
Yeah. Just enjoy yourself.
Because we're all human beings, We breathe, we sleep, we eat, we laugh and cry. Just make somebody spend most of their living time happy and content. And that becomes contagious. They spread it. I love that kind of environment.
Oh, wow.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
How did mindset change come about? Because it came in 2020. Yes.
I can tell you exactly how it came about, because it's just a little. And then I selected the village in which you're gonna launch it, because when I was working in UNICEF, I came across this wonderful people, mainly Basara, so-called Bushmen in Zutswa, in Sankara. Very original, very, very, sincere.
Yes.
Right? They're very pragmatic. They realize and accept that if you want to do something more rapidly than you have been, you're going to need to do it very differently and apply different tools. We were in a period, and we were stuck over a long time in the upper middle income bracket and trapped.
Yes.
So we fundamentally needed to shift in the way we do things.
Yes.
Now, I told you the mind is a tool. The mind is a tool.
Yes.
So you psychologically structure and gear yourself up to get this tool to enable your soul, your heart, your want, your motivation to get more,
Yes.
do more.
Yes.
Wake up. If you're going to wake up at 8, 9 in the morning, your mind should be structured to make you wake up earlier. If you're going to do a little less or walk slowly, your mind is going to cause you to do it faster or with much more energy and vigor. So when you apply your mind in order for you to change, it's important that you share that with everybody who you want changing, particularly those in leadership, particularly young people. If you look at the level of output, productivity, efficiency of people like our neighbors, Zimbabwe,
Yes.
or even Chinese,
Yes.
Or the Nigerians.
or Nigerians, or in-laws,
Yeah.
and the average Botswana, there's a stark difference. Why? Because of our enculturation. Is there a hustling spirit? Is there urge to do it? And that's what we need to shift if we're to earn more. You can't expect to live well when you don't earn it. You shouldn't. But you must also realize, just out of logic, that you need to do much more than and produce much more than you can consume yourself, because there are people who are disabled. There are people who are dependent. Young little kids and old people. And they depend on you,
Yes.
the one who's able to produce,
Yes.
whether you're working or not.
Yes.
Yeah.
So that, in my view, as a leader who's supposed to be leading this country towards the realization of Vision 2036,
Yes.
I was compelled to cause for a national shift in mindset.
I think now to just drive it home with, when was that exact moment where you were like calling your team and say the strategy for this country is mindset change?
COVID, well, we're locked down, right?
Yes.
But I was a leader, and I had to lead my people out of this terrible mess. So I thought hard, twisted and turned, and I then came to the conclusion, there's no way that we can continue with the budget that we put out,
Yes.
because we just didn't have the resources. We're going to have to adjust so that we reduce, focus more, and achieve more. And so I called for a retreat of my private office, literally, back here.
Yeah.
Point the spot to you. And as we were conversing and we're trying to analyze, we're going through a SWOT analysis, and I'm telling them, these are my problems. I want to do this and this. I can't do it. But, we really need to change. I kept saying, so the facilitator of that retreat then asked me, Your Excellency, if you were to list down 5 major points of what we need to do, just give them to me.
Yes.
Yeah.
And, literally, I rattled the reset agenda points just like they were. The last one that I said, after do all these things, it's contingent upon a fundamental mindset change.
Yeah.
Wow. Powerful.
Yeah. Mr. President, so mindset change seems so philosophical. It appears sometimes the argument is it's for the privileged. I'm perhaps in survival mode, and you are telling me that I need to take time out to change my mind. So I can imagine that there is frustration and a pullback from the society at large about this concept, mindset change. So I want you to share with all of us, as a leader, why you think it's important for the nation, for Africans, to embrace the idea of mindset change, why it's so pivotal for the success of Africa.
Do you know, nothing could be further from the truth. It is not an esoteric elitist concept. It's an idea and a notion and a rule of thumb for the very one who feels most downtrodden. Because if you applied yourself to what the practical meanings of mindset change are, and if you applied it, you would see a difference being made immediately in your life chances. A difference being made in your opportunities. It's not even something that you need to be thinking about too hard. Because a lot of the times, those of us who need it the most are those who are most imprisoned by the processes that we go through of life. You know, take those who are entrapped in perpetual debt. And a lot of the times, it's those people who are at the bottom end.
Yeah.
Of it. So if you shifted your mind around dealing with issues of a headache, for instance, you know, you have pain in your body or you have a headache, and you started to think deep or inquire from others, how do you employ natural processes to ameliorate yourself, liberate yourself of this pain? Or you started to think, what is the cause of this pain? You would see and come to a realization that there's some things you need to change. It may be, you know, processes.
Yeah.
You know, it may be what you first do. It may be to do with diet. That is a mindset change. You know, you must be perpetually curious and never be satisfied with what you're doing yourself. So you've got to be asking other people or reading up or, you know, doing research, experiments, and learning from others.
Wow.
Spoken like a true teacher.
I'm telling But let's say somebody is watching at a village somewhere, and with mindset change, it sort of requires you to think long term. But when there is infliction to your body and you're in survival mode, all you're thinking about is to survive than to actualize or to thrive. How do you then get people to shift from short-term thinking to long-term thinking, notwithstanding the external forces that are honing in on them and instilling maybe procrastination, depression, fear?
You need to give yourself time. You need to do what you're doing right now in the short term, but give yourself time to reflect.
Okay.
Reflect. You must go deep into yourself and find out, why is it that I'm caught in this trap?
Yes.
What can I do? Do I have the answers myself, or should I go out and seek for answers from others? It's important. You can never do it on your own if you are locking yourself into the limitations of your immediate circumstance.
Okay.
And you close out everything else.
Yes.
So an essential prerequisite to mindset change is you must give yourself opportunity to reflect and allow other thoughts of others, other experiences of others to come to be invited and accepted
Yes.
by yourself.
So far, I've noted 3 things. So you're a teacher, I'm an avid student. In terms of the tools for mindset change, the first thing that I heard you mention was curiosity. Just a fundamental curiosity, look around, see what's happening. And the second thing was reflection. Take the time to assess what's preventing you. What is the cause of the pain, the cause of poverty?
Honest reflection.
An honest, candid reflection. And then thirdly, research dialogue. So finding out what others do and how they do it and how it is they reach the success. So as a teacher, do you want to finish those up? Because we're coming up with a nice framework.
Of mindset change.
Mindset change, which is curiosity, reflection, dialogue, research.
And food.
Food.
Food is a big part of it as well.
Yes.
Yeah. Diet.
But you know, after you do all those, you bring them together.
Yes.
And when you bring them together, you synthesize.
What is synthesizing?
You take what would have been independent, discrete thoughts, patterns, components, and you put them together into an understandable form that is new and unique. But you're also able to break it up again and form another new formation. After you do that, so you give yourself options. Right? That's the purpose of synthesizing. You give yourself options. Then you evaluate. You evaluate and say, all right, of these options, given my circumstance, total circumstance, which one do I go for? So strike where you are presented with the best opportunity for success. That's what evaluation should give you.
Yes.
And accept failure.
Yes.
Failure is a major part of growth. So you fail, you don't die, you get up, you start again.
One of the things that made me buy into your vision is how you speak up against neocolonialism, mental colonialism, and being that our formative years form the seeds of our mind and how our mind governs our lives. What would you say are the tools that different leaders in Africa should use to bring themselves out of mental colony so that they can lead the nations in Africa from a very authentic place? Because one of the issues that we have in Africa is borrowing too much from Western culture and not living in our authentic cultures.
You know, it might seem paradoxical when I speak of that,
Yes.
and I'm dressed the way I am, right? And I speak the language I speak.
I know, right?
Yeah.
But
The irony.
be as it may, these are my candid true thoughts.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Put it out there. And I mean it.
Yes.
You must begin with self-love and self-respect.
Preach.
Nobody is superior to me. That must be the fundamental, and you must raise all our children with that very intrinsic innate belief. Nobody is superior to you. They may be better at this, but it doesn't mean superiority. You can get better than them. God made you like you are, and you are gorgeously beautiful. Handsome. You know, I love my brown skin. I love my kinky hair. You know, and my well-rounded lips and broad nose. And I am a complete human being.
Yes.
I'm the super human being.
Yes.
I love it.
And you got to make those around you who are like you feel that. So the things that we make beautiful, they must be the beautifulest. The things that we think through and are committed to, principles, ways of family life, ways of governance, you know, our medicine, whatever, it must be perfect. Those things that we also set aside to be for sodality groupings. Sodality groupings are secret or isolated groupings.
Yeah.
They must be so. You don't allow others to come and invade that which is a secret to your culture to exploit. That's what informed me when I faced DBS, eyeball to eyeball.
Yes.
This ain't on. Because these diamonds, I truly believe
Yes.
they are Botswana diamonds. God put them here very deliberately for the Botswana,
Yes.
more than anybody else, first. That's why, for instance, limited as it might be, when I got into State House, I had this quota built. We'd never had a quota in the State House.
Yes.
There's nothing more Tswana than a quota.
As we are about to wrap up, I think I want to ask, what are the plans for mindset change in the curriculum for younger children? As you were saying, we have to invest in young kids and make sure that they have that intrinsic self-belief and confidence.
I believe very strongly that a curriculum should be developed which inculcates a deep respect and pride in our cultures. I don't see, for instance, why, if we talk of a curriculum at a higher level than a lower schooling, we don't carry out research and further develop the concept of governance around the quota and modernize it. Because it's very democratic. You know, it allows for roles to be carved out that are comfortable and empowering to every level in society and all genders.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
As with any culture, you weed out the things that are not as palatable. But we can also borrow from other cultures because geography often influences culture. So that's why you have differences in Africa. And it's important that in the curriculum, we also learn about other Africans and their cultures so that we are more tolerant and accepting. One of the things that I want to do is really cause for a real seismic shift in the way in which we've been instructing, getting instructed, measuring, evaluating content.
Yes.
But that is requires a dialogue.
Yes.
Right?
And then the last one, if you have a question.
The last one should be, how should Africans support African leaders? Because I believe you're in a unique position. Your leadership can't be like everybody else's. And therefore, I believe the people also can't be like everybody, like the world population.
Thank you so much. Let me begin by declaring that I'm a Pan-Africanist.
Yes.
I'm an African. I happen to be in the territorial boundaries of Botswana, but I truly am an African, should fit in anywhere, as other Africans should fit in my country too. You know, the support that leaders need in order to realize this vision of a true mindset that's grounded in Africa and being African is that of citizens in the various countries and across Africa. Those who are committed through their intellect, through their research, through their financing, through their emotional support to give a reality, an opportunity for these to rise. So I would be looking forward to this early support being expressed, because we're going for elections in Botswana
Yes.
at the end of this month, on the 30th of October. And I want to make a case for it. I ask for your support to embolden this mindset change forever.
Wow.
Thank you.
You heard it here, the power of the mind, with His Excellency Dr M.E.K Masisi, who says, hone in and focus and have a tunnel vision and put measures in place so you make sure that your mind is centered in you.
Thank you so much, Mr. President.
Thank you.
The direct impact of sitting right next to you
Yes.
is that I'm sitting up straight a little bit more. And I believe the viewers at home also feel pride about being African. This was the Sapiosexual Platter. Join us again for the next episode.